Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Double Tap, and this is Aussie Game Rants podcast. As always, I am joined by my new partner in crime, Frubiks. Say hey.
Hi.
Yes, hi.
I was drinking.
You were.
You caught me off guard.
I did. Do you want to say hi again to your fans? No?
No.
Okay. And, as always, Jimmy D.
Hi!
Yeah, you got to start thinking of season 2 material, son.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah. So this week, we are talking about The Division. We've got our hands on the beta. Jimmy D, you're playing it on.
PS4.
Frubiks, you're playing it on.
PC.
And I am playing it on PS4 as well. So Jimmy D and I have been doing a little bit of co-op. So, what are our thoughts? Jimmy
I'll
D?
start with Frubiks.
Oh, Frubiks, go for it. How do you feel about The Division?
It's a snore fest.
Why do you think that, though? Is it not pretty? Does it not play well? Is it not interesting?
Pretty. I fucking hate that argument.
Oh, I'm just throwing some at you. What's wrong with The Division?
What's wrong with the Division is the majority of it.
But in what regard?
The storyline is very generic. Doesn't have any sort of hook.
So what's the storyline that we know so far?
Some kind of virus has ravaged, I think, probably the world.
So every game ever, yeah?
Most
Pretty
games.
much every Tom Clancy game that you can think of.
Any zombie game, any Tom Clancy game, any
We
apocalyptic
don't know.
game.
We might know where it is. I haven't actually watched any sort of
I guess
backstory
Manhattan,
videos.
New York City. I think that's where it's actually.
The game is based in New York.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it seems as if this virus has ravaged the world.
I would imagine so.
And so you go in as this elite force called the Division. No backstory on that.
No, I've heard
You
them.
just go in
Yep.
there, you're the Division.
Oh, the Division has saved
You're going
us.
to help save this city.
Yep.
And there's a...
You failed this city.
Yeah, and the city's gone to shit.
Of course.
There's people are just mugging and looting.
Looting and the usual
stuff.
American
The
society.
freaking enemies are based on your everyday job applicants.
Okay, look, that was something I found. We were playing it, and I found 2 types of enemies. I was like, what? There's a second type of enemy. The first one was a guy wearing a brown hoodie, and the second one was a guy wearing a grey hoodie. I was like, shit, I've never seen this uniqueness.
There's I believe there's 4 factions. They're all sort of Escape from New York-esque.
Yeah.
The way out, it's just inmates and stuff like that.
Either inmates or people who have stayed
but
there
you have
and gone crazy.
One faction I know is, I think they're firebugs. They use fire. They like fire.
The cleaners.
The cleaners.
That's right.
The cleaners, who are literally cleaners from New York.
Yeah, their entire basis of their faction is they want to eradicate the virus through flames, and they're just going to kill anyone because everyone's got a virus.
They're like the most feared ones out of a lot of them.
I think, yeah.
Yeah,
And
they were the big draw point in a couple of their cinematics. And
In some of the cinematics, yeah.
But they seem to be the only interesting but different from the other faction.
Yeah.
Where every other one just seems to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
I think one of them was meant to be we're just guys with guns. We're going to take over the city and give it proper control. But
Give me back my America kind of
and
thing.
then a couple other people are probably exactly the same like that. There's no real backstory to any of these factions.
Say the cleaners. The cleaners are probably the only one that has some sort of backstory.
Maybe. And the problem with the game that at that point when you start the game you got all this sort of backstory and stuff. There's no real hook. You've seen this in movies, in games, and TV shows multiple times.
Time and time again.
It's very, very old.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. After playing it, I didn't really feel any sense of majesty. It didn't draw me in, but I hadn't thought about it until now, and I think you're right with that premise. But I think there's an argument there for mystery. I think that's maybe the direction they were trying to go in. You're the Division, what is this? And you'll unlock that as you go.
You're going into the unknown.
Yeah, and I completely understand that. But you're right, because I was thinking about it, there's something not right, and it was that. There was, there wasn't that opening... there was an opening cinematic to the beta.
Yeah, but the opening cinematic starts you off going there. It doesn't show the backstory of the Division.
Like the city.
Or, why are these people the elite task force? Why are
what
they
was your
selected for
training,
this?
yeah.
Why is your character specifically
Yeah.
selected to become part of the division and not just, a grunt for the army?
It's also a new IP for the Tom Clancy series of games.
Which we should actually applaud because a lot of developers don't like doing new IPs these days.
That's true.
And I really appreciate like Rainbow Six Siege, The Division. They may not be perfect games, but they're new IPs, and at least they're not
Rainbow
Watch
Six
Dogs.
isn't new. Rainbow Six has been around.
Sorry, Siege.
Specifically
Siege
the Siege.
Siege itself, yeah.
In this one, you start off as the Division. You start off with like an explosion that you don't even know what happened with the explosion. You don't know how
that's
that.
right.
Yeah, you start off with this explosion, and you sit there and you think, well, all right, so how did this explosion happen? Like, where was I in this city where this explosion happened?
Yeah.
Why was I first in the city? Like, because then afterwards it turns around and says that you're just coming to the city. Like,
Yeah.
that is your entrance. Okay, so where did that explosion come from?
You're in a helicopter, and this person next to you is badly injured.
Yeah.
And you're there, I think, helping her. And they just go, oh crap, there's an explosion. We're going to drop down. We're going to, like... we're going to...
You're on, it's your time.
And then we're going to get out and we're going to take the city. But that's how it starts. That's not a real hook.
No,
But
there's nothing...
The hook would be you finding someone, explosion happens, you getting to base camp.
Like,
Yeah.
let's just say, like, before that, all of that stuff, they could have made that, like, the tutorial mission, where it explains what that happens, and then they could explain the mechanics, rather than that freaking
That video.
unskippable goddamn video.
Yeah.
Think Modern Warfare 2, the start of Modern Warfare 2, you're there with, I think, Soap,
Yes.
was it? Yeah. And you're climbing ice, and you get to the base camp, and you start shooting people through that sort of thing. That's a hook.
That's a
that
hook,
gets you straight in,
yeah.
like, oh crap, I'm doing, like, really cool shit.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting chased on jet skis.
Yeah.
This game just starts you off in a helicopter and drops you off in the slowest possible way.
And then it
just
forces
lets
you to walk slowly through.
walk through all this thing that you can't talk or interact with anyone. And you just have to make it to this city. But
Yeah.
there's nothing to do between that
Yeah,
and that.
see, like,
there's no backstory in between you.
Well, the
walking
first
from the
civilian I
helicopter.
saw, I wanted to shoot because I was bored.
I tried to shoot some.
Yeah, why not? Because
but,
you're
like,
We
bored.
can't kill them, even
No.
though they're looting a store.
Exactly.
Good thing we can kill the dogs and rats.
Yeah, great.
But, I mean, you've got, like... Walking segments have been done well before. And it's just as simple as when you're walking through something, have the NPCs slyly say something to the character or talk to the next person next to them.
Or walk
Like,
the same speed as the
The Last of
character.
Us has that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Batman Arkham...
City?
Arkham City has it right at the start when
Yeah.
you walk through
Yeah,
the cages
yeah.
and you've got all of them like you've got Deadshot that turns around and says
says,
you're in my
yeah,
sights
yeah.
and then pow, little things like that keeps that
That
slow
boring
walking,
part
that slow
interesting,
walking
yeah.
segment interesting.
Yeah.
Division just kind of said, here you go from point A to point B. Hell, even like Order 1886 still had spoken dialogue while you were doing those slow walking sections.
Which were there a lot
I mean,
of,
there were a lot of slow
Oh,
walking
look,
sections.
even we just
But-
recently played Gears of War Ultimate Edition
Yes.
on Xbox One. And my biggest hate when we were co-oping that was I'd sit there and go, why are we putting our fingers to it and walking slowly? Just let me move.
Yeah.
They were at least talking during that, which was nice, but it's just...
Yeah, it was giving you the story.
it unnecessarily
where-
slows it down.
You can-
This one,
see it
I don't know
through-
whether it's just the beta or
No.
whether that's actually the beginning of the game. Because if that's the beginning of the game,
Something
that
doesn't
there's-
feel right.
That's the beginning of the game.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Outside of the at the start, it gives you a little unskippable cutscene that shows, "Oh, this is the beta. We're going to teach you how to play the game."
Yeah.
Nobody needs that.
No,
And that's at the start, unskippable, very loud.
people have said that from the
And
start.
and then it just cuts straight into you're in a helicopter. If you look at
Yeah.
Valve games, Half-Life 2, Portal, Half-Life 1 and 2.
Well, Half-Life 2
Portal,
actually had
they
one of
let
those
you just
walking
run
sections.
around, jump around during what seems normally is a cutscene. But
Yeah.
you can jump around and the characters will actually look at you and talk at you while you're doing dumb things.
Yeah, like
But that keeps player engagement while they're telling you backstory.
yeah, the Half-Life 2 bit where you've got the main guy speaking on the screen, and you're able to pick up a can and throw it into like the trash can. and
Yeah,
stuff.
they ask you to
You
do
can
things.
completely ignore what he's doing, but
Yep.
it's
You're-
it's almost subliminally
Yeah.
Taught to you, yeah.
teaching
It-
you the
yeah,
backstory.
that's right.
It
yeah.
immerses you in that game.
Correct.
Just like how that would happen in a movie and you're watching the main character of a movie walk through a train station and then tell to like put the trash in the bin or we'll bash you because we're police. You keep going through that. Same thing with that sort of style of gameplay. Keeps you immersed, keeps you...
Yeah.
You pick up on what the background is
Yeah.
without just focusing in on a cutscene.
Yeah, I mean, You want
or
one
subtitles or anything like that.
You want something like one or two of the extremes. You either want the part where you can be fully immersed in that gameplay style like we were talking about just then, or you want that short cutscene that just takes you from point A to point B, so that you don't have to sit there and walk through a whole lot of nothing.
So let's talk gameplay. We've all played it. How do you think it handles Frubiks?
It handles pretty decently. I was very surprised by that.
I actually really like the guns.
The shooting mechanics are actually pretty solid. Moving around the world was pretty solid overall. I came
Snap to
into
cover.
a couple of different glitches where because I just have a habit of, I can tumble, I'm going to tumble.
Why not?
I'd get to the top stair of a staircase while tumbling and it would just stop me.
Okay, yeah.
And at one point I got to a staircase and just wouldn't let me through. Even though I followed all the waypoints to that spot and I had to go back and then come back in and then it worked.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
I
actually found the
Yeah,
guns
I found-
really, really solid.
Yeah, I found the mechanics of like its gameplay.
Yeah.
Is pretty good. Like, it's a cover based shooter.
A third-person, cover-based, role-playing game shooter.
Yeah.
If you want to put all those letters together.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Which we'll do on screen.
a lot of people have had been complaining that it's clunky. I haven't played a third-person cover-based shooter that isn't slightly clunky.
Yeah.
Gears of War
Always.
is clunky as hell.
Uncharted.
Uncharted's got a lot of clunkiness, and it's just because of that snap to cover thing.
Snap to cover and then getting out of cover and jumping over things.
It can be
different
difficult.
buttons
Yeah,
and stuff
People
like
were
that.
crying out for like fluidity of that, and like, you know, if you're close to a wall, he goes and
You
he
can
goes
push
into
X
cover.
on another wall.
The problem is that like Kane and Lynch tried that fluidity and it didn't work.
Yeah.
The snap to cover works a lot better.
The best kind of fluidity you'd get is like Mirror's Edge. But then you're going to need a multitude of buttons just to be able to like, all right, now I'm going to get over this.
Correct.
I just want to run through everything.
Yeah. Whereas this snap to cover is a basic way of doing that cover shooting mechanic.
It handles pretty well.
The gunplay is pretty decent.
What do you think of enemy variety? Obviously, you heard it at the
I'm
start.
going to shoot a man in a hoodie.
In the head, and he's not going to die because he's made out of sponge.
That's the other gripe that a lot of people have.
SpongeBob Division Pants.
Just soaks up the lead.
That's it.
That's the other thing that people had a lot of gripe with, was the fact that because it's labelled as a Tom Clancy game, it doesn't hold that same realty of a Tom Clancy game.
Yeah, you look at Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six,
Yes.
Splinter Cell.
Any of those games where, you know, if you get shot, you lose, you know, a quarter of your health or, you know, a third of your health. If you get shot in the head, it's almost an instant
Was
death.
Rainbow Six Vegas, was that a third person or a first person?
That was a first-person shooter.
Okay, yeah. I'm trying to...
But
Because
like
they had cover in it as
Yeah,
well.
that one was cover. It did a lot of like Killzone style cover.
They had that
where
cover,
if you were close to the wall, you could actually...
Ghost Recon would be the
rise up,
closest to this sort of thing where you're third person, you're running into cover.
and you snap to cover and stuff like that. Whereas, like, but like, that's what a lot of people had a problem with, was that the...
Frubiks, you were saying that you could bum rush everything.
You
And
really
I
could
absolutely agree. The
bum
first thing I
rush
unlocked was my shield. I put it to R1, I've got a shield, put the shield on, and I just pushed right up.
Yeah.
And then when the shield disappeared, I was being shot and I still didn't really die. And then I just sat there pumping rounds into someone and
that's the
eventually
thing.
they
If you're
died.
making a cover-based shooter, and that's what Gears of War and all that kind of stuff did, was that if you're not in cover,
Yeah.
you're going to die and
You're
you're going to
dead.
die quickly.
Yes.
And
if you
that's-
push up too hard, too fast, you're going to get surrounded most likely.
Yeah.
I think the problem with Division is the AI isn't very strong at all. Or
Yeah.
smart. It's built to be an RPG game first and a third-person shooter second, which
And
is a very big problem.
I
if
think
you're
they
gonna have
changed
an
their tune on that though, because when it first came
there
out,
was- I was looking for the article. I'll find it. You can put it in the video.
yeah,
I can't remember if it was the CEO of Ubisoft or the developer or something, was just like, this is an RPG first. That's what players should
but that was a
recognize.
recent article.
That was like yesterday.
Yeah. When it first came out, I believe they were marketing it more as a third-person
Yeah.
cover-based shooter, and
With-
towards
with
the
a
end,
multiplayer aspect.
yeah. But
Yeah.
now they've changed tones and gone for role-playing game first, third-person cover-based shooter second.
Which is a very big problem.
It's a big difference.
Because all the enemies sort of act like they are in an MMO.
Yeah.
Where they're just very brain dead and like, oh, there's a guy over there, let's just shoot him. Let's not
Or run
try
at
and
him.
flank him. Let's not try and do anything
Whereas
that could put this
if
person in
you-
danger. You can just sit and cover and shoot us.
Yeah.
Where if you look at like the E3 2013 was when it was first announced.
2013 was when it was first announced.
If you look at that part there, and you look at the way they displayed that one, even their second trailer.
I flipped my shit when it was first announced.
Yeah, but when
It
you
looked
look
amazing.
at look at that and you look at the second trailer as well, even though they dumbed down the graphics, I wasn't too worried about that. I'm like, whatever. Sometimes sacrifices have to be made.
That happens. God forbid.
Which we'll actually go into a bit later about the PC version. But like in that one, it was just one of those things where they marketed it so much as like that third-person cover-based shooter, and it looked amazing the way even though it was like a cinematic almost pre-rendered is the best way to do it.
Yeah, pre-rendered.
Best way to say it, but it looked amazing the way that like the enemies would try and flank you, so you had to make sure that you had someone flanked on them, and it looked so much more tactical than what's the final product.
I believe player agency is the word that we're looking for. Is that when you're sitting there in cover, you want to feel as if
you're in
danger.
Yeah.
You're against a group of like 10 people. They shouldn't just be sitting there taking shots.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So let's talk about two things really quickly because I feel like we're running out of time here. The first we're going to talk about is PC. What happened with the bloody release for PC on this? Because it's a pet hate of mine and I'm not even a PC gamer.
Well, Ubisoft just has a problem with PC. You can see that in Watch Dogs specifically. Yeah. The E3 trailer came out. It looked amazing. Then the game came out. It looked like arse. Then after people dug around in the files, they found one file that had E3 graphics, E3 lighting.
Yes,
and it just had a little note that said, "This is just for PC. Who cares?" That angered a lot of people.
But it's happened before. So what's happened with this one?
They have specifically stated that they've downgraded the game, but also that it's unfair to console players if the PC game looks better.
And this is where I think it's wrong. PC gamers and like I'm a console person. I have consoles. I have a PC as well.
Yeah.
But like the biggest problem that they have is that they just, if you've got a console, you know that that's the hardware that you've got and that's all you can do. It's one of those like it's almost like a plug and play almost.
Correct.
Where you chuck in the disc, it's going to work and it's going to keep working. Whereas you've got you've got all those sliders where you can have post effects, and
which is the entire point,
or Radon's version of it, all of those kind of things. And that was the point of PC, is that you can push games to their limits.
Well, see, I'm a console gamer because I like simplicity. It's not to say I haven't PC gamed before. I was big into it, a few years ago. But the entire point is the adjustability and the customization. And to outright say that it's unfair for console gamers, no, it's not. Yeah. Console gamers know what they're going in for.
They're paying
PC gamers
$600 for a console versus what I pay $1,500 to $2,000 for a
exactly. And PC gamers know what they're going in for and expect certain quality.
And then it's
a damn disgrace.
Yeah, you're paying we will pay $600 say for a PS4 that's going to last us 7 to 9 years. You'll say.
Well, hopefully. This console gen,
which I don't think it will.
No,
but then you've got PC who will pay $2,000 for their core machine,
which will last for
which will last
basically ever. You can just
you can just tweak
due to the fact that you can upgrade. Oh, that thing's not working. I'll just buy a new thing of that. That's like
So they'll pay that money. They'll pay that $2,000, but then 5 years down the track, or even like 3 years down the track, because there's a new graphics card that's coming out and they're able to push their games further. They're going to pay a further $600 to another $1,000 for that specific part. Yeah, and then they've got to do it another 3 years
just so you can play the games.
Yeah. So
majority of the time,
the max that you can to push that game to the limit, and that's what PC gamers know, and that's what they do.
That's what they love.
That's what they like to do. Console gamers just like to have a thing that sits there and works.
That's exactly it. So. It's a bit of a disappointment, but let's move on to the next thing. Try and tidy it up quickly because we are going a little bit longer. The problem with the Dark Zone, ladies and gentlemen. The problem with the Dark Zone.
Oh, the non-PvP PvP zone?
We're going to call it a non-PvP PvP zone.
To explain the Dark Zone, it's an area of the map that is called the No Man's Land. The Division couldn't hold it, so it's just a free-for-all.
Yeah.
That's where you get your best loot. That's effectively where the end game
loot is. Yeah.
The problem with that is how when you get in there and you're meant to vie for this loot with other players, no one will kill each other.
Because there's
level segregation. So you get in there, you're at Dark Zone level 1 when you start off. And that first level segregation is 1 to 8. No one in that level 1 to 8 will kill each other.
Because there's no benefit.
There's no benefit. All you know is that you don't know if the enemy has better loot than you do. You can have exactly the same loot.
Yeah.
any loot that, if they have better loot, it's almost certainly 3 or 4 levels higher than you, and you won't be able to take it.
Yeah, in which case, like, this is where, like, the Dark Zone will only benefit the end game players, because that's where all the variations in different things will work.
And
whereas,
the specific set
your level 1 to 8,
Yeah.
you whatever it is, 8 to
I need this
16
piece
or
of
whatever,
armor to do this for me,
will get
and then they'll go farm for that.
Well, majority of the stuff, even when you're playing like an RPG or an MMO, the armor that you use before you get to max level is the ones that you get given from quests.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is because there is no use in getting any other armor and fixing up that specific armor to beast style to that point, because, next level you're going to get something that's way stronger than what you've already got.
Exactly.
And that's where that's going to fail in that point. It's only going to benefit the level 20s.
And it's due to the fact that it uses the same sort of system as Diablo 2, Diablo 3, Borderlands, Destiny, where
I love some of those games.
when
but
you get to the end game, you're just farming for a better gun. The problem with this game is that all the guns are the same. It's either an AK or a purple AK
yeah.
that does more damage for some reason.
Yeah. And that's
an
the
M4
difference.
and a
Yeah.
purple M4 that does more.
Whereas, like, even like Destiny doesn't have as much as, say, Borderlands does in terms of weaponry.
Borderlands just has
But-
that randomization.
but-
Randomization, that's right.
Whereas, but Destiny might have that stat roll, but at the same time,
It's got
you
different
could have a
designs,
different
different
gun.
kinds
You
of
could have a
guns.
different gun that looks
Correct.
so much more different, or you could have that legendary gun. Like, that's the thing. See, the legendary guns in Destiny are far different and more aesthetically different.
Pleasing. Yeah,
than,
they are.
say, what these Division ones are going to be, because they're just going to be like an M4 or an AK that's purple.
Just to finish off explaining the Dark Zone.
Okay.
Like, no one will kill each other due to the fact that no one wants to lose their loot. So
I don't wanna lose my
stand
loot.
in line to, like, ship off your loot.
And it benefits everyone.
And it benefits everyone.
Exactly.
Only people who kill each
It's
other.
an
are just-
entirely flawed system.
Just little griefers who won't even
Yeah.
take your loot because they already have a full bag.
But if one griefer turns around and kills someone, everyone's just going to gang up and then,
Well, yeah,
and then
'cause
teabag
it
them.
marks you as a
yeah,
going rogue.
that's
and then
right.
You got 90 seconds
Yeah, to
of
get
being
it,
marked.
yeah.
Everyone will just kill you.
Yeah, you're done.
And then that's it.
Yeah.
And your loot gets left there to despawn.
And I'm all
or
for a
something.
little bit of griefing, and that's fine. I think it'd be funny for people to grief and a little bit, but
You're sitting there just about to extract all your loot.
and
someone
everyone,
shoots
yeah,
you.
you just be like, great, I'm never fucking coming
Yeah,
back to this
no
place
one.
again.
That's the problem is that
Yeah.
no one really cares about
No,
taking other people's loot.
no, there's no
Which
benefit
is,
to
I
it.
guess, rebalance it in a very nice, tight little It's
package.
very reminiscent of
Yes.
Wilderness,
Yes.
where you just go around and you PK players.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in this game, it just doesn't seem like people are going to do that.
Yeah.
So let's wrap this one up. We've got the Division coming very, very soon. Frubiks, 2 things. 1, will you buy it? And 2, out of 5 Aussie Game Rank controllers, what would you give it?
I wouldn't buy it, and I would suggest don't buy it unless it's $20. So in a couple,
The bargain basement.
3-4 months, $20 or less. That's when the game's worth it.
Yep.
The content is just not there. That sort of thing. From playing the beta, because I haven't played the full game yet.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the beta in our rankings.
It will be about. It's like a 2 or a 3.
Yep.
Low 3. No, mid.
So 2.5?
We'll just go with 2.
2. All right,
Flat
we're going
2.
for 2.
It's just the fact that all the content is go to quest marker, kill enemies, finish the quest, move to next quest, kill enemies that look exactly the same, finish that quest, move to next quest.
Which didn't have to be done in an open
And that's
world
that's
environment.
all that's all you're going to do. The open world environment of Manhattan or wherever you are
Yeah.
is barren because it's all just moving to
Each point.
Dungeon.
Yeah, it
Or
probably could have
quest.
been more exciting having more populace in it.
Yeah.
There really is just
Yeah.
nothing to do.
Jimmy D, same questions.
Look,
Will you buy?
I enjoyed it, and that's like to a point, and that's what annoys me because it's made me undecided on the game. At this point, I would say no, I'm not going to get it. Just because, it's the gameplay.
tough.
The gameplay is solid. The gameplay is solid. The rest of it isn't, and
It's just not enough to hold you for more than 2
Yeah,
hours
that's
because
it,
you
like-
realise everything's exactly the
Yes,
same.
I enjoyed it, And then, like I was saying it before, I enjoyed it, but I don't know how long I'll enjoy it for.
Yeah, that's the question.
It
reminds me a lot of Vanilla Destiny.
Yeah. Vanilla Destiny, if you power through it, though, you're fine.
Yeah. So, out of 5?
I'm going to have to go with, 2. Gameplay's great. The game itself is fine. Not the game, the gameplay. The gameplay is actually pretty good. The shooter mechanics, the cover-based mechanics, they're solid. The rest of it has a lot of work on it, and being this close to release, even though it is in beta,
work's not going to happen.
There's nothing that's going to be fixed to that point.
So for me, I am largely undecided on whether or not I want to buy it. In between now and Pokken Tournament, there's not a lot coming out. I feel it's really the only option to buy it because I'm done with Destiny, I'm really done with Siege, but I'm in a maybe corner. I don't know whether I will. I've got a couple of people who are going to buy it, so co-op could be a great option, but chances are not looking good. And out of 5, I'm going to give it an optimistic 3. Hopefully the community shines through the game and it becomes really nice. It's relatively, well created and thought out, but it fails from what it is. It suffers from Watch Dogs syndrome. Hey, we have this amazing game. Ha! Yeah, right. It's not
jokes. It's
jokes. Yeah,
a neat concept that just falls flat.
That's it, and that's. I'm giving it a 3 because I like the concept so much, and it's it's this child I have hope for, but it just went back to drugs.
Yeah,
it just went back to crack.
I think it's one of those games that I'll sit there and wait and see how successful it goes because. Yes. I mean, if you lose the community in it, it'll die.
Done.
It'll die flat on
That's
its
evolve.
ass.
Done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It'll have an evolve.
Yeah.
Where if the community goes, it's going to be a useless game. Especially, I mean, if you're walking around in the dark zone and there's fucking no one there.
Yeah.
What's the point of playing?
What's the point?
Yeah. So,
all right, so let's wrap this up.
Yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Follow us on Twitter and Facebook or whatever other social media.
So say follow us on all major social media outlets. Say that.
Major?
Yeah, we have all the major ones.
Oh, I have all the major ones.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean Instagram?
Yeah.
Major social media outlets.
Major social media.
Major Instagram. Reporting for duty.
And we'll talk to you next time.